Alright, just noticed in it's stick cam and I really want to get to bed, but I noticed the apropos of wet snow has made 3 parts of video here. Obviously some ad hominem involved, you know, he's got to do Harry Gary. Anyway, 3 parts of bullshit. So, yeah, I'll just play his segments and respond to his crapola and such.
Okay, so the Professor Anton and I made a dialogue video and Gary responded to it, and I'm going to respond to Gary now using the kind of stop, start, address each part of the argument kind of technique that Gary likes to use and that I've complained about because I don't think it's a good idea. I think it opens up possibility for mischaracterization.
Yeah, I think that's just such a pussy bullshit accusation to even make. You play the fucking video, right? The context is there. I mean, this paraphrasing crap doesn't work because people don't paraphrase people correctly. There's where the abuse lies. There's where the straw man can be created. Somebody who's going to play somebody's video is going to be obligated to answer their points. Alright? It's not that complicated, really. Weasel.
Framing and all that bad stuff. But I'm open to new things, so I'll give it a shot. I just can't help but think it'll spiral out of control into some kind of like we're looking in on ourselves through Alice's glass ball, looking in onto an alternative universe, looking into an alternative universe, looking into an alternative universe, and you know the levels compiling.
Yeah, again, just more of this bullshit. Try to make everything more complicated than it is. It's an argument. You analyze it, okay, and you say, well, here's where it's a flaw. There's a logical contradiction. There's simple rules to how logic functions. Alright, somebody either obeys the rules or they didn't obey the rules. If they didn't obey the rules, then you point out the hypocrisy or the duplicity or the stupidity or the ignorance or the incorrect premise fact. But this kind of crap, this just arguing from the argument from unable to argue. Oh, it's unarguable. We can't even argue it because it's unarguable, because it's too ambiguous, it's too unknown. There's nothing to argue because we can't argue it. I mean, fuck this shit.
But I'll give it a shot, so I'll just start off.
Alright, so anyway, we'll pick this up at the next segment. Thank you very much.
Mental masturbation, too, and I think that's what we were getting at, is that you've got this twitch almost mentally. You can't escape this paradigm you've created for yourself, and it absolutely dominates every aspect of your thinking. So even if there was a different...
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're the ones living for the fantasy, okay? You're the ones masturbating. There's no reality you're having sex with. You're having sex with a fucking delusion in your fucking brains, okay? Your little made-up fables about what life is. It's a replicating DNA molecule. Everything about our consciousness was built to make us more functional machines in a bloody tooth and claw battle for a fake and phony superiority. And that's all the story is. Everything you build on top of that, that's the cake you're going to put your frosting on. And you're the fuckers that have layered it with tons of your fantasy masturbation.
A plausible theory for the way things work. You'd never be able to discover that on your own unless someone tied you down and opened up your eyes like that clock.
Okay, so just more talk about this promise of your fucking idea of the truth that you never can fucking articulate. So I'm supposed to open my eyes and see a truth that you can't even define, you fucking useless piece of shit. I mean, what nonsense for you to sit there and pass judgment on somebody else who's actually articulated an argument. You haven't made an argument in your entire fucking life. One that was actually based on a premise that had any logical continuity to anything real in this world. You just keep talking about Goldilocks and her relationship to Little Red Riding Hood. You never talk about anything real being connected to anything real. You fraud.
Orange scene and made you read some or made you absorb something differently than.
Yeah, right. Absorb what? What? More of your bibble babble, more of your fairy tales and your fables and your bullshit and your nonsense. I don't need your crap. Okay? I can define reality. I can see it. I can go outside my door and I can see it. And I've read the books I need to read, the science books. I haven't read the little fairy princess bullshit stories that you're fucking obsessed with. Fancy pants.
What you believe, I don't think it would ever happen for you. You're one of those old souls who's trapped. You can't teach old stuff.
Yeah, well, you're just a young, ignorant, fucking pompous prick. A little spawn of the fucking elite who thinks he's somebody because he's read a few fucking books and he can articulate a sentence once in a while. You're nothing. You're nobody. You got shit for goddamn brains. You're full of idiotic notions that you're glued to. Your traditions, your bullshit historical biographies, your understanding of human culture. You don't understand human biology, you dumb fuck.
Bugs, new tricks. And I feel bad. I feel sorry because one of the great, beautiful things about life is the plasticity.
Oh, listen to you. Yeah, and you're telling us that from your grand, brilliant, long history in the life equation. You're just such a little punk. I can't wait for life to kick you in the fucking ass.
Of a human being's mind, particularly when they're younger. And, you got a good theory. It's just, it doesn't explain everything.
Oh, right. Another nothing statement. It's a good theory, but it doesn't explain everything. Well, I guess what? What other thing is there out there to explain, asshole? What doesn't it account for? Where's the trail of unicorn glitter? There isn't any, okay? It all leads to one fucking place, all right? A dirty, stinking swamp that bred this mess.
It tries to, but it simplifies. Just like Marxism simplifies politics and historiography.
Oh, well, that's even stupid anyway. I mean, Marxism, there's no fucking thing in the first place. You can't give any coherent definition of what Marxism is. All right? Every Marxist will tell you a different fucking story. And if you read Marx, all it is an analytical explanation for why capitalism fails. You stupid jerk.
Your theory simplifies views on evolution and the history of social.
It simplifies what? A simple idea. Oh yeah, you can't. You shouldn't simplify the simple concept. It's a simple concept, asshole. It's a replicating molecule. The rules of replication are you make a bunch of diverse copies through programmed error, and the programmed copies compete with each other for survival, and the ones that survive end up breeding, and there ends up being more of those. There, I've oversimplified it. I don't think it's possible to oversimplify it. It's fucking simple, shithead.
Consciousness and all kinds of things.
It's just such empty nonsense.
Oh, I'm done with that. That's right. All right, until next time.
I came towards the end of the video, and we were talking about I was just talking about marking, and he said, there's kind of this payoff between truth and responsibility, and in this context he meant the responsibility of marking something subjectively. And it is a problem in the arts. Any mark you ever give to somebody is going to be based on at least some aspect of subjectivities.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know what world you live in, but most of the world I lived in, that's not really the standard. Okay, you played football, you played some other game, you did this, you did that. You were marked pretty much on your performance, okay? And it wasn't that hard to figure out whether you passed or failed, whether you did the job correctly or you did the job incorrectly. So this is, again, just bullshit. Every subject isn't some artsy-fartsy bullshit where people just make up what the fucking is good. Very few people waste their time in who's the best dressed class. Yeah, it's really not very important to many people with a goddamn brain. Maybe that's the classes you've been wasting your time in. All right, but it has no importance in any part of my agenda on planet Earth is to worry about your subjective crapola.
Well, there's this. You want to give them truthfully what they deserve, but it's also impossible to do. But yet we have these responsibilities to keep things going and actually apply justice in the meantime, that it's a hard balance. And you know what?
You know what? No, it's a really easy balance, and we've just done it very badly as a human race. There's really easy lines to draw between them. You either molested the kid or you didn't molest the fucking kid. You either drank and drive or you didn't drink and drive. It's not that fucking hard.
The law is exactly the same, because there's no right or wrong answer in the law.
Oh, that is just so silly. I mean, I can't even believe you've gone to law school. Well, of course, the law school has taught you completely upside down law. Of course there's right and wrong. It's declared by the law. The law is explicit. It makes a statement. Now, judges have to interpret the statement for all circumstances that are applicable to the statement. And they're going to define what the interpretation is. And then the lawgivers, the lawmakers, will decide whether they agree with the judge's interpretation or disagree. If they think the judge got it wrong, that the judge isn't interpreting it correctly, then they'll have to rewrite their law to say what they meant to say. All right, but that's all that's being done here. There's no room for subjectivity in this.
Oh, it's basically just laws that men made up for themselves.
Oh yeah, and so now again, it's just this bibbly babbly talk like there's nothing behind it, like there isn't a value equation behind every fucking law, like most of the laws don't exist because they're trying to correct a problem, and a problem is defined by the fact that there's an unintended or a negative consequence. Somebody ends up suffering in some way or another, and you're trying to mitigate against that because somebody else's behavior is causing it, and you think it's illegitimate. It's not that fucking complicated. Most law has to do with imposition. It has to do with you imposing on somebody else to get what you want. And we say, no, you can't do that. Can't own a slave. Can't mistreat your wife. Can't do a lot of things.
And there's situations where the laws don't cover either or of the situations, and the judge has to make that judgment call. And
yeah, the judge only has to do one thing. He either says, number one, he's presiding over a trial to decide guilt or innocence. That's what judges do. They decide guilt or innocence. All right? They decide whether they conduct a trial to allow a jury to do the same thing, or else they make the determination of guilt or innocence. But there's nothing, there's no, they don't write the law, they interpret the law.
yeah, the judge has a responsibility to do that, even if it's not 100% truthful.
Well, in what sense? I mean, the judge is going to be guided by the principle intended with the law. Again, there's no room. He's not supposed to be subjective and say, well, how do I personally feel? Maybe I'll just flip a coin. No, he's supposed to make the best, most logical, most rational, most reasonable interpretation possible. It's guided by those dictates, not by his subjective desire for an outcome. That should disqualify him as a judge. The moment he's asking himself, how do I feel about it, is the moment he shouldn't be a judge.
It keeps society going. Just like we have a responsibility to support governments we don't believe in. Because
what a crock of shit right there. So again, what, it's a statement? Somebody's supposed to hear that and say that makes sense? That makes no sense at all. That's why we had a revolution. We didn't support the king's government. We told the king to go fuck himself, and it was a good thing we did.
things like revolutions every 2 years destabilize things.
Well, you don't even have examples of that, do you? Yeah, the point is the people that had revolution, it didn't destabilize things. It gave them a platform. The Magna Carta, the Constitution. That's what it gives you. You wouldn't have a rational government if it wasn't for other people who fought a revolution to show you how to do it. Asshole.
I don't agree with the Occupy Wall Street types. I think it shows a lack of learning of what's happened in history, i.e. the French Revolution.
Oh, what a horror that was, right. I think justice won, okay? The method might have been wrong, the means to the end might have been sloppy, but the end was damn fucking good and was the foundation for the American Constitution, which is the foundation for your own Canadian Constitution. You'd be a subject of a fucking king if it wasn't for revolution, you dumb twat.
Do shake things up. You start messing around with traditions and things with the...
No, traditions, right, that this word should mean anything to a rational human being. This word tradition, it should mean absolutely nothing. It has no merit in and of itself. Tradition means nothing. We've seen human history. It's littered with traditional behavior that was completely and entirely idiotic. All right, we learned better. Tradition is crap. It's shit. It's nothing. It's zero. An intelligent person doesn't even think the word should even be in our vocabulary anymore because it is so fucking meaningless. It's like the argument from popularity. That's not an argument. It means nothing.
Roots that influence a lot of aspects of life that you might not be able to appreciate yet. So there's some value in just stability for stability's sake.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's how you reform, that's how you progress, is staying exactly the same. I mean, you know how stupid this is? This is a stupid argument you're making. Okay, this is just stupid. There's no progress if you sit there glued to tradition, you idiot. I'm the one fighting against tradition. I'm the one fighting against You're the old man in this image. You're the fucking lunatic old crazy fart who's saying, we've always done it this way. Blue is blue and green is green and you don't have a right to mix blue and green. You fuckers. You're the old stagnant fart brain who doesn't have any vision, can't remake the system because you don't know what makes the system in the first place, because you haven't dissected it, because you haven't thought that you better understand a system before you critique a system. You fuckwit. You're the regressive, I'm the progressive. You jerk.
And accepting some of the truths that have been propagated to you as a young person. And I know it might be very easy to...
Yeah, well, name one status quo traditional belief system I have been glued to, or that I'm propagating, or that I'm defending out of tradition. Name one, fuckwit. Oh, that's right, you can't.
To poke holes in these truths, especially when you get to Gary's level and you're applying this theory to absolutely everything. But the thing is,
I'm not applying a theory to everything. I'm saying this is the foundation, okay? This is where you start. You start with the biology, the chemistry, the physics. All right? You understand the system and how it got here. You understand there was no fucking goddamn sky daddy. There was no intelligence in the mist that made it happen, that thought it was a good idea. No, that it happened for circumstantial reasons alone. And now you start your judgment. Now you start your investigation from that premise.
There's likely in most of these things people take for granted that there's some value to it, including religion, actually, a lot of the time.
Oh, so you didn't say a goddamn thing, and then you bring up religions. Now you're going to get even babblier. So you said absolutely nothing, complete mush, and now you're going to bring up religion, which is just archaic mush. Brilliant.
Parables there. And,
oh, yeah, whatever. 14 in the whole fucking big fat book? You got the golden rule and about 6 other sentences that might be worth something. The rest of the book is shit. A big pile of fucking shit.
You know, the hostility that this reductionist in Mendham view has towards religion, anything religious of all sorts.
Yeah, I'm offended that we are glued to this old, inaccurate, traditional science. It's old, archaic, dead, flat earth theology, philosophy. It's flat earth philosophy. Why shouldn't I have contempt for something that is stifling progress, that is ignorant, foolish, stupid, dumb, and most importantly, and most profoundly inaccurate. It's a profoundly inaccurate description of reality. It's a fucking goddamn canard. It's a big pile of crap. Oh, God. And you defend it. You stupid little weasel.
To me, it's kind of goofy. It totally overlooks all of the value in something like biblical passages that...
Oh, totally. There's so much value in all that child molesting and wife beating and, you know, poor will be with you always. I mean, my important Jesus feet are only here for a short while. Oh, this is just disgusting. Disgusting. You're sitting there defending a book of fucking goddamn drivel, written by people who didn't even know how to build a proper outhouse, and you've made it an authority. You've put it up on high. Let's all devote ourselves to the Babbly book. I mean, fuck. And you call me an old man? Your brain has frozen. It is fucking petrified goddamn shitwood.
Goes above and beyond just his basic insight that no God exists because he understands scientific data and evolution and the way things work. Well, good for you, but that's one aspect of religion.
Yeah, well, that's one aspect of religion. It's the whole fucking foundation of religion, you idiot. Okay? It's a wrong premise. A profoundly wrong premise. And the only thing that gives it any authority is its fear-mongering. Let's scare them into doing the right thing because we can't make them do the right thing for a rational reason because we don't have a rational reason why they should just be fodder for a stupid, idiotic, pointless life. Oh, this is just puke.
You know, there's so much more there to it. And
well, why don't you just start reciting passages then? Why don't you give me the list of the volumes of pages and pages and pages of brilliant biblical babble? All right, and we'll just see if there's anything worth anything in there.
I think it's a better idea to get a grasp on what religion is outside of these just basic trite arguments that atheists make towards.
Oh yeah, trite arguments about reality. Oh, let's not see reality. Again, you're the ones running from reality. You don't want people talking about the truth. No, instead, but believe the lie. Believe the overt bullshit, the nonsense, the drivel, the overt fucking fairy tale. Not one bit of evidence of it, but let's believe it anyway. And you're saying that's what a rational brain should communicate on the fucking internet. Well, fuck you, you useless piece of shit.
Religious people, you know, that's basically how an atheist views what religion is. But the thing is, if you actually do some empathizing, you see that there's something deeper there. And
oh yeah, we know what's there. We've seen how the religious behave. We've seen their fucking hypocrisy. Oh, save the fetus, but I don't give a fuck. Once the kids are born, put them to work. I mean, get real. The hypocrisy, the duplicity, the fucking overt lie of these fucking pretentious religious fucks. And you're going to make the argument that makes them better people? No, it's a way of shielding them. It's a way of putting a fake facade of pretty flower on the disgusting, maniacal, weaselly human beings that live behind it. Come on, a bunch of child molesters, a bunch of child abusers, a bunch of wife beaters, a bunch of fucking disgusting pieces of shit are veiling themselves in that traditional crap.
There's a lot of people that goes outside of a lot of the arguments that atheists ever make. Sorry, that's a bit of a ramble.
End result.
Yeah, useless ramble. You forgot the word useless. Mush. A mush.
Where is this, where does this responsibility to pursue the truth come from? You know, if we are just matter in motion, we're just human beings.
Well, that's your articulation. You're just matter in motion. I happen to be a sentient creature, and I seem to understand that these other things are also sentient, and that matter is significantly different than the matter that doesn't feel. So again, we're back to this fucking obvious argument that there's a huge difference between the Nazi drinking champagne about to fuck his whore and the fucking concentration camp victim freezing, dying of tetanus. Typhus. Yeah, big giant difference, contrast in quality of existence. It exists. It's a real thing. All right? And it is the value in the universe. There is no other value. There's only how things affect feeling creatures, things that can be harmed, personally, directly harmed. And if you don't understand that, then why am I even wasting time talking to you? Because you're just too useless, too stupid. If you don't understand the concept that there is value, that we are just not all matter in motion, and it's all irrelevant how it motions, then you're just too fucking stupid for the conversation.
Beings, we've got addictions towards fucking. We have addictions towards reproduction.
Same thing.
whatever, we just make up meaning for ourselves. Well, isn't, our...
Make up meaning for ourselves. Where does that come from? We can't just make it up. We've got to follow the rules. The rule is there's a thing called pain and a thing called pleasure. All right? And if you're causing pain and you're not causing pleasure, then you fucking suck. I mean, it's not that complicated, you stupid fuck. You just can't make it up. You can't just pretend I'm causing pleasure when you're causing someone pain. It's stupid. It's illogical. It's nonsense. It's drivel. It's worse than a fairy tale. It's incoherent pieces of mush. It's nothing. It's not a story. It's not an image. It's nothing. It's incomprehensible drivel. You might as well just drool. Just make a video drooling and you'll make more sense than to talk this crap.
Drive towards truth, just the exact same thing. It's just the result of the way DNA has set itself up.
No, it's the way a brain has set itself up. It's the one thing that separates us from the DNA. It's how we have separated ourselves from the DNA, from evolution. Okay, memes, ideas, logic. That concept breaks natural selection. It makes us capable of inventing a condom and now controlling our reproduction. It separates ourselves from our hunger. We can now know that it's not right to harm somebody to get our food because we can understand the value equation, that my full stomach isn't worth somebody else having a busted face. I mean, this is what intelligence provides. It's a way of separating ourselves from stupid, ignorant evolution. Oh, God, you really can't be this dumb. Oh, yes, you can.
In our brains. So to sort of put truth up on the altar like that.
Oh, yeah, what a silly concept. That we should actually try to have an accurate definition and description of reality. No, like that shouldn't be the objective. We should just keep chasing nonsense and shadows and fables and glitter and sparkly light and crap. We should be totally consumed with chasing garbage and nonsense and silly fluff instead of trying to describe the reality, understand it, and play within the rules of reality.
Seems like it's just another manifestation of this addiction we have towards following our reason. So why should we follow that?
Because it's logic is intrinsically superior to any other form of cognition. It is intrinsically narrowed and unfree. It is bound by a requirement, to not be things that are negative, like contradictory, like duplicitous, like dishonest, like all those, the list of all the negative things. And that's what this logic thing, this rationality thing, allows you to separate thought from. Jesus Christ, you're dumb.
That's the definition of it. And that's all you're embracing. It's just it's just so annoying. This is all kind
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Till next time.
That's exactly what my video was, the Mark Twain video thing, is that, I appreciate contradiction. And I don't respect people who pretend they don't have any contradiction in their own thinking.
Well, the point is if you're going to make the claim, then you ought to demonstrate. You ought to prove it. You ought to do that. You're just an accuser. You're just a fucking slandering, lying pile of shit. You just make a lot of accusations. You back them up with no evidence whatsoever. You just make your little ad hominem, snarky little pious and pompous remarks. You're totally unaccountable for your lack of evidence and substantiation for a single, solitary claim you make. Buttball.
I find it an absolute inevitability, and I think it's especially a good thing for somebody my age to feel like they have conflicting views, because that's the reality of it.
Well, then why are you opening your mouth? Again, why the fuck would somebody think they should open their mouth if they're not sure? If they don't know what the fuck they're talking about? Then why the fuck would you open your mouth? Why the fuck would you add noise? Because that's all it can be. If you're uncertain and you don't know what you're saying and you don't know what to fucking say, then stay the fuck out of the conversation, because you can't make a useful contribution in that position. You either have something you can argue and defend, or you don't. but you can't. You're pretending like you have an argument. You have no fucking argument. I mean, it's disgraceful for you to sit there and point your finger at somebody else when you're conceding you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Jesus.
You know, it's being honest, and it's also accepting the unknowability of things. You know?
Yeah, another statement. Just nothing. The unknowability of what? What don't we know that we need to know? What is the grand mystery beyond once you know the source, the origin? What can't you model? What can't you cause and effect play out to all its permutations? Yeah, that's right. Only your stupid, silly fantasies, your make-believe, pretend circumstance where you're going to somehow put the whole thing, you're going to take the pig and you're going to put it in a dress and you're going to put lipstick on it and then you're going to teach it to fly. And it's all fucking wishful thinking because you're not going to do any of that shit. It's never going to fly and it's never going to be fuckable.
And that maybe consistency and harmony is an ideal that's lost upon us, and that maybe there is
consistency and harmony and love and fluffy and bunny and bibbly babbly boo. Yeah, this is just a Disney movie. That's where you belong. See, that's it. You're born a little too late. You know, if you were born like 20 years ago, you could have been a Mouseketeer. Yeah, that's where you belong, in the Mickey Mouse Club. Yeah, and then you could get like a movie part in the Bibbly Babbly Boo movie.
Truth and paradox, you know. What I think this respect for paradox and even contradiction can...
Yeah, whatever. There's no real paradoxes. There's no real contradiction. This, again, is all bibble-babble. You're just making up. If you had to try to be explicit about what you're contending, what truth you're attempting to argue with, but you won't face it. You won't sit there and define it and describe it and say, I think there's a God. You don't have the balls to goddamn say it because you know it would be laughable. It would be ludicrous. It would be silly. So you say nothing. You just talk about the shadows and the fog and the unknowable. Yeah, but you don't have the balls to try to be explicit, because if you tried to be, you'd be seen for what you are, a silly person.
Bring about is a questioning of the boundaries we place around things, the classifications we give to things. We question those and we say, well, maybe the boundaries are drawn somewhere else. And that, to me, is the opening up of a potential for creativity.
Oh, it's just more crap. If you're evaluating the gas mileage of a car, you drive it, you see how many miles it goes on a gallon of gas. Then you try it on a highway, and you try it in a city, and you try a couple of different circumstances. And yeah, you make your judgment. It's really not that complicated. But again, you're trying to make it complicated because you don't want the answer. You don't want the truth. You're fucking running from it. You can't handle it. You're afraid of it. And so you're coming up with any excuse whatsoever to say, don't bother testing it because you can't test it because it's untestable. Just because you don't want the results.
Potential for discovery of a deeper sense of truth. But the first...
Again, more stuff that doesn't mean a deeper sense of truth. A rounder sense of square, a flatter sense of linear, a sillier sense of nonsense, a mushier sense of bibble-babble.
At first, what you have to do is challenge what you already know to be true. And it's a hard thing to do.
Oh, yeah, it's really hard to just sit there and say, well, look, do I have a logical foundation for this belief, or do I just believe it because I want to? Because it's my home team. Yeah, that's not that hard to do. You either have facts or you don't have facts. You know what the easiest way to test your beliefs is? Not to ask yourself. No, take your beliefs and take them on the street and articulate them explicitly. All right? And see if somebody comes back with a counter-argument. Or see if the only thing they come back with is Harry Gary, silly old fuck-em-nut who doesn't change or doesn't think he's stupid and doesn't think he's wrong and doesn't think this and doesn't know that. And that's all you're doing. but nothing explicit. I'm not getting back an argument. I'm getting back an insult. Fuck you.
So convinced of something. But it's something that, in order for us to progress, I think we have to do.
Assholes.
Yeah, right. You progress through veiling the truth. So hide the truth, and that will give you progress. You'll get the cure for cancer by closing your eyes and not looking in the petri dish. No, I don't think so.
On the internet, complaining about assholes on the internet. I mean, come on. The medium isn't the problem. Video.
Oh, it's going to take its time here, so I'll try again.
The jargon appears that way to you because it's not made for oral delivery. You know, it does sound like I'm...
It's not made for oral delivery. I mean, really. Oh, I have the words, I just can't orally articulate them.
being pretentious when I use what you would call overly articulate words. But the thing is, when I use those in a context of an academic paper, they web together a hell of a lot of ideas and make a hell of a lot of...
Yeah, whatever. They don't do any of that. They're just elitist jargon. They're just like doctors talking in Latin or some other kind of crap. It has no relevance to a modern era, or to a modern need or necessity. It's just you being glued to your silly tradition. It's you playing an elitist game. It's you being too much of a coward to say it in plain English.
A more nuanced argument that I think any outside objective observer would find a hell of a lot more or lacking in loopholes than something that you produce on a bumbling YouTube video.
Okay, now there's your accusation. Critique one of my videos describing a reality. All right, not critiquing your stupid bibble babble session, but one of the videos where I argue in defense of a truth and try to dissect it, asshole. Try to find a flaw in it. Try to make a counter argument. You can't. You'll fail all over the fucking goddamn place. But you can make this little arrogant statement like, oh, there's some fallibility to your videos. There's some untruth spoken, some misunderstood. No, there's nothing misunderstood because I say it in plain fucking English. Any idiot can understand it, okay? I don't need special little teleology words or some other special little word to talk about DNA replication. Man, you're such a fucking little weasel.
So I'm sorry I'm importing that from the outside into here, but I think the nature of the issues we're discussing actually requires it.
Oh, that's such a pile of shit. Right? Yeah, you can't speak in plain words because the conversation is too complicated and nuanced to just say it in plain fucking English. That is just a cop-out. Okay, you're just a pretentious, elitist, motherfucking weasel cunt. And if you had any balls and any fucking guts, alright, you'd actually try to say something explicit. Just one fucking sentence that was actually an explicit sentence saying something besides, I don't know, I can't think, I can't understand, we don't know, we can't think, we can't understand. Speak for yourself, retard. Alright, the truth is quite fucking obvious. And it's only assholes like you that keep people from seeing it because you just confuse people with these nuanced words as if the words themselves have meaning. They have no meaning. All you're talking is Daffy Duck bullshit. Alright, it's a cartoon.
And I think that if we do want to talk about a direction for this kind of medium, it should be in a direction that is going less away from spectacles, or less away from, pop culture kind of, a popularity contest, and closer towards the kind of structure that you do see in academic journals and peer-reviewed journals.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Okay, go ahead. Show me the peer-reviewed journal on the subject of reality. Show me that. What is reality? All right, and I guess you're not going to do it, right? Because you're going to have to go back to something like Darwin again. And Darwin did use some vocabulary. He used some big fucking words, but they were big words that were related to science. They weren't big words just related to, let's disguise a simple concept with a fancy and fucked up word.
And I appreciate people like Pyro who are actually doing the nitty gritty work to get that done. Because yeah, what we do need is organization, and what we do need is for some people who just are refusing to recognize when their argument is wrong. We need.
Yeah, right. Refusing to recognize when their argument is wrong. Now, will you have the balls? Will you have the fucking balls to actually make a list of those? Just let me see the list of the arguments I've made that are wrong. All right? That you have some sort of demonstrated evidence that I'm been wrong. Yeah, you won't do it.
Something to ensure that they don't get away with that. You know.
Again, yeah, why don't you do that? I mean, that's exactly the kind of accountability I'm demanding. I'm fucking saying that's what we need. We need the opportunity to expose these weasels and liars for exactly what they are. Say nothing, bibble babble, talking, pretentious, elitist motherfuckers.
YouTube peer-reviewed system sounds pretty good to me, but how you get that done, I don't know.
Oh, what's a peer review, by the way? What's the peer knowledge base, right, for the truth of philosophy? Yeah, I'd like to see your list of who's going to be doing the peer reviewing, right? A bunch of whack jobs talking about how many mushrooms they took.
Can't handle the truth. It's that simple. They can only function in an environment.
Oh, sorry.
If I was a pretentious person, what I could just do is spend my Saturday nights going to the bar and telling chicks I go to law school, or telling them I'm going to make money, or telling them I'm super smart and what school I go to. That to me sounds pretentious. I'm on here trying to have discussions about philosophy. I don't give a shit how.
Oh, what are you even talking about? Your whole critique is because, well, you're too Mark Twain. You're too common man. You're not using the proper special decoder ring words. I mean, that was part of your critique, douchebag. And you just said it before, that somehow your academic papers need your special little teleology words, your little fancy bullshit words, so you can keep people off balance. And that's all they're there for.
People view my intelligence on, people I don't know on the internet. I don't care. What kind of reward does somebody get from pleasing strangers they'll never meet once in their entire life? I'm not part of a popularity contest. I despise.
Well, whatever. All I see you do is kiss butts of all these bibble babblers. So in that sense, you're trying to network. But whatever. Who cares? I'm not making that accusation, asshole. I'm calling you pretentious in the elitist sense. You sound like the spawn of a zero work ethic. You sound like some jackass who's had huge opportunities and thinks he's somehow earned it all. Well, I don't think so.
It's popularity contest, and that's why I'm not more involved in certain aspects of real social life, because there's so much bullshit to get around. This is kind of, to me, like kind of a what's it called? Like a strain. It's a strainer. YouTube is a strainer for all the pretentiousness that comes along in social life.
Yeah, well, whatever. You called it a waste of time. Just the other video. You're just contradicting yourself. 1 minute's a vehicle. 1 minute it's not. 1 minute's a waste of time. 1 minute's just for fun. I mean, come on, make up your mind.
I'm not here to make myself sound smart. Sorry to say. So you can cut out that stereotype.
Well, I'm sorry. You stop defending it, okay? You stop having whole fucking 1 hour conversations with Professor Anton saying absolutely nothing. All right? Because you just keep talking in your vagaries and your musheries and your fakeries and your crapola. You won't say anything. I'll say the word explicit one more time. You won't say anything explicit.
Pigeonhole before I start calling you a goofy looking fucking barbarian who walks through the woods. You know, I could say a lot of things about you too.
We already did that though, asshole. Again, what? You just did it in the last video. I mean, the whole Mark Twain thing. You already did this shit. You've been there and done that. You want to do it again? Well, fine. Knock yourself out. If that's all you got as an argument is you look funny, well, then you're gonna look stupid.
But I don't generally use ad hominem, so I don't.
Well, what do you mean? Your entire videos are always ad hominems. You are always, this is the pretentious part, you are always looking down your nose at other people's arguments. You call them things like old men or old ideas, or you haven't matured, or you haven't grown up, or you haven't opened your eyes, right? You haven't opened your eyes. I mean, come on. These are all ad hominem insults to other people's intelligence, you stupid prick. Man, it's really not that hard to figure out you're insulting somebody when you're patronizing them.
Yeah, let's kill a frog to see how it works. And just let it lay there like a corpse. Let's not see how the frog actually, goes through its life living. Let's tear it up. Then we'll know.
Yeah, well, this is to the dissection argument. Look, well, they're both dissections. If you're observing, you're dissecting, okay? You're dissecting its behavior. You can only dissect its behavior by observing its behavior. So the word can be used metaphorically or explicitly. So obviously when I'm saying when you're going to dissect a system, it's not a frog. It's not a living thing, all right? You're not gonna cut it open and blah, blah, blah. You're just going to do the metaphorical dissection of the system. And you're going to see what the mechanics are. And by understanding the mechanics of a car, you can understand what it's capable of. Now, understanding what humans might use it for is a whole different scenario. But understanding the car, you need to do the dissection. It's a necessary step. If you try to observe its behavior without understanding its mechanics, then you're probably going to draw some wrong conclusions.
Better, right?
And then they come up with these tritisms. They live by this crap.
I mean, most bugs, right, that have wings spend very little time flying. All right, they only use them to get away or to run away in special circumstances, or maybe only for mating. All right, so you could be fooled. You could be watching the bug and think this is what it does. And you don't know that it can do this other thing because you didn't study its dynamics. You didn't study its structure.
Don't worry, be happy, is all they're saying. Like great text, they're saying, life's a journey, not a destination. It's just trite, simplistic mush.
I don't know if it's simplistic.
Well, I think it's simplistic. Don't worry, be happy. Yeah, that's fucking simplistic. Okay? Do whatever you do the best you can do it. Yeah, it's simplistic. Life's a journey, not a destination. It's simplistic. Trust me on this one. I know I'm right. That's simplistic.
Trite maybe, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know.
Not necessarily a bad thing. Oh. Right. Juvenile, immature. I mean, the list of trite. Okay. Simple beyond recognizably relevant. Right? I mean, it's a simplification so destructive to reality that you can't even connect it to reality anymore. It's such a perversion of its reality that now you've turned it into something less than a cartoon image. Yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sorry. I don't think you can prove that.
All proverbs are trite. Are you going to say that things are trite or things are bad because they're trite? No.
Yeah, I am going to say that. No, trite isn't a good thing. It's like tripe, it's like fake, it's like facade, it's like phony, it's like shit. Yeah, it's crap. Trite is something we can live without. Oh. Alright, so that only took, what, an hour? Yeah, we got 2 more parts to go. But I'm going to be doing those who knows when, because I don't have time for this shit. So anyway, I'll slop this into the computer, and I don't know when I'll upload it, but who knows. Yeah. Really irritating, though. So, way to go. Shitty video. Bravo, shithead. Another brilliantly stupid video produced by you.